When non-motorcyclists see us talking, they think all we talk about is motorcycles. But you and I know that that's not true. What we talk about is riding and where to ride. In this episode of El Camino, we're going to take you on one of our favorite routes. Stick around.
El Camino is brought to you by Yamaha. Revs your heart. Scott Sports. No shortcuts. Best Western Hotels and Resorts.
I'm Neil Graham with Jake Hudson. Welcome to El Camino. We're going to take you on a beautiful ride, 3 days, in an area called the Highlands. It's about 2 hours northeast of Toronto. And we're going to start off in Haliburton, where we are right now, overlooking the lake. It's very beautiful. And we're going to go clockwise up through Algonquin Park towards Pembroke. We're going to stop in a lot of little towns along the way. And then we're going to loop around through Bancroft and make it back to Haliburton. We have this incredible weather. It's just in the low 20s. It's ideal riding temperatures. And we can't wait to show you what we find. And mostly what we want to find, as usual, is coffee. And how far to the first stop?
About 20 kilometers.
20 kilometers to coffee. I think I can do that. I think.
Well, let's do it.
Let's do it. Motorcycling, when you get right down to it, is really just an excuse to drink more coffee from more coffee shops. After an arduous 18-kilometer ride, we stop at Pizza on Earth in Dorset, which is wordplay on Peace on Earth, though it took us far too long to make that connection. We were a little early for the artisan wood-fired pizzas, so we settled, instead, for a little art. No trip to Dorset is complete without a hike up the Dorset Tower, which overlooks Lake of Bays and Coagama Lake. But rather than just show you Jake wheezing up the stairs, we'll just cut to the good part and show you the view. We gas up in the town of Dwight, and out of the corner of my eye, I spot a very rare KTM RC8, the company's only true superbike. You just never see them on the road. I'm excited to show Jake, and as usual, Jake doesn't show his true enthusiasm, as he's anxious to head east on Highway 60 toward Madawaska, and then onward to Barry's Bay.
Now, Barry's Bay is a huge surprise. It's beyond bustling, and right in the main drag, we discover what you rarely see anymore. A proper used car lot with very, very used cars.
Mercuries are always just uglier Fords. Like what was the Cougar was a less attractive Mustang. And but you can't call things a Cougar anymore. You know, there's too much. We have certain associations with the word Cougar.
I'm keen in the 57 Mercury, mostly because it has paint. Well, Jake, so help me, is drawn to the earthy 47 Ford, which seems to have some kind of rash. However, we fall into agreement that old tow trucks are the bomb, even when they look bombed out.
Only one driver.
And from the Stranger Than Fiction file, who could have guessed that the main test pilot for the star-crossed Avro Aero retired to Barry's Bay to open a motel? More conspiracy theories surround the premature death of the Aerojet fighter than the Kennedy assassination. Let's just say the Aero's demise was more than just the work of a single shooter. And in our continuing drive to financially bolster every coffee shop along our path, we stop at the Madawaska Coffee Company to refuel and admire their espresso maker.
100%.
But it ends poorly when Jake accuses me of spilling his iced coffee.
I really didn't knock that over. I didn't.
You don't really know a man until you travel with him. And Jake constantly fussing with his hair reminds me of what used to be in the top of my head. I wish he'd just stop.
This segment is brought to you by AGV Helmets. Protect like a champion.
When you're traveling, you'll notice that every town on every road makes a claim to someone, like the pilot from Barry's Bay, or to something, like Wilno's claim that it's Canada's first Polish settlement. When a claim comes with pierogies, really excellent pierogies from the Wilno Tavern, you just take it all in, one bite at a time. Pembroke is at the intersection of the Muskrat and the Ottawa. Those are rivers, by the way. And Pembroke marks the end of day one. Dedicated bike parking is a plus, even if some riders are satisfied with nothing less than parking right at the front door. Day 2 dawns sunny, warm, and clear. Perfect, again. Lucky us. Before we leave town, as we're checking out Pembroke and its wall-to-wall murals, Jake and I, at pretty much the same moment, come to an uncomfortable realization. When we gassed up yesterday in Dwight, where I showed Jake that KTM, we forgot to pay for fuel, which led to this awkward conversation when Jake phoned the gas station. You'll notice I kept my head down.
Yeah, we were. Sorry, we're filming for a TV show and we saw that bike over there.
We watched you, and I couldn't catch you on my camera, so it's like, I was going to eat the 25 bucks.
Oh, right. Sorry about that. I've never done that before. I feel a little bit like an idiot.
Aw, thank you so much for calling back, though. That's very thoughtful of you.
Is it alright if I give you a credit card number over the phone?
Sure.
Alright. And then, is there any way that you could email me the receipt?
Now we're headed to one of my favorite places in all of Ontario. Just over an hour southeast of Pembroke is the village of Calabogie. Now, Calabogie has a number of things in its favor. First of all, it's on Calabogie Lake, which is ringed by dense forest and hills. But the village is also the hub for a lot of great motorcycling roads. The 508 comes at the village from the east and the west, and we'll be riding into town from the north on the 34, and they're all great roads. To the south, the glorious 511 takes you to a place I can't wait to show Jake.
This segment is brought to you by Yamaha. Revs your heart.
So we're at one of my favorite places in the world, and it's a racetrack, unsurprisingly. It's Calabogie Motorsport Park, and it's a track that opened about 20 years ago, just 5 kilometers south of the village of Calabogie. And it's one of the best racetracks in the world. The surface is amazing, and unlike a lot of racetracks, it's not ripped up and rippled with weeds growing through it. And it's also, every corner is a challenge. It's either a decreasing radius or it's off camber. And it's one of those tracks that really beats you if you don't get it right. But when you get it right, it's one of the most glorious experiences in the world. So I raced my vintage Ducati, didn't do it this year, but most years I'm out here. And to me, it's just one of these amazing places, and I'm really excited to show Jake. It's a huge hill right there at 7.
Yeah, Candy Mountain.
Yeah, so you come down, and this Mulligan's is really beautiful because you just, it's one of those tracks, corners, if you try to go too tight, it like totally ruins your exit. And every corner is like this here. It's that if you don't get the right line, you ruin the next 2 corners.
Yeah.
So it swings around and then up here, and then this is the corner I was telling you about. This is Temptation. So see how this cuts back in? Everyone wants to come down here and then, you know, try to do an apex here.
Yeah. But you're, by the time you apex there, it's scary. It looks like you gotta really take it wide, and then once you're about right here, start to apex it.
But it's so complex. You have to come for 2 days. Like a lot of riders will come to a track and do it one day. And I say, if you go one day, you go home and you'll be miserable because it will not make any sense at all. Anyway, Jake, thanks for humoring me. How about some lunch?
Yeah.
You had to listen to me, so now I'll buy you lunch.
Yeah, let's do it.
The key to traveling harmoniously is to know who you're traveling with. When I saw the Redneck Bistro in Calabogie, I just knew Jake would find himself at home. And the food is exceptionally good, redneck or not.
This segment is brought to you by Best Western Hotels and Resorts.
We're here at the side of the road, and Jake needed a moment to play with the windshield on the FJR because he's riding the Tenere, so we need to do this every now and then. But this is Centennial Lake Road, and this is such a great road, and I have such a wonderful history with this road, and indulge me for a moment, but Bruce Reeve, who used to be the editor of a really great motorcycle magazine, and he was foolish enough to hire me. But Bruce was the first one that showed me this road, and up until that point, I didn't really think there were good motorcycle roads in Ontario. And then we rode Centennial Lake Road, and it changed my mind. And so when I think of the Highlands and riding here, I always think of Bruce. And the best thing about today is it's beautiful, it's 22 degrees, sunny, as you can see, and fresh pavement. This is as good as it gets.
Centennial Lake Road is easy to find. Just follow the 508 west of Calabogie for 20 minutes or so. You can't miss it. But a word to the wise, it's a road that demands respect. The surface is generally very good, but it does vary, and you're sure to meet an ATV or two, and trucks pulling boat trailers are common. Much of the road's appeal is that it winds through perpetually changing terrain, so enjoy the views, stay relaxed, and pay attention. Eventually, Centennial Lake Road becomes Mattawatchin Road and ends in the village of Griffith, where Jake and I refuel on Gatorade.
Yeah. So what did you think of Centennial Lake Road?
Oh, I loved it. It was awesome. It was nice that they just repaved it there. It was good.
Yeah, because the Calabogie end of it's sort of new pavement, and then it switches to the old pavement, but it's still pretty good, and most of the corners have really good visibility too. So.
Yeah, there wasn't much traffic either, which was nice.
There never is any traffic here, which is...
I suggest to Jake that what I love about the road is that the surrounding topography is always changing. Jake, for his part, gave me a dirty look when I used the word topography.
What I love about it is how the topography changes. All of a sudden, you know, you're in that dense woods.
Where are you going with those words and I have no idea what they
Topography is just the landscape. Does landscape, is that better?
Yeah. I just say that.
So the landscape changes, and then, you know, you're in the woods, and then it opens up and you get those lakes, which are this impossible blue color with the sunshine. And then the rock cuts.
Yeah. We came over that one where it was... There was both lakes on two sides of the roads. That was awesome.
It's a really beautiful road, and I mean, certainly one of my favorites. And what I want to show you now is I think one of the hidden gems of all of this, which is it's Highway 28 between Denby and Hardwood Lake, and I think of this whole area. It's the one road that doesn't even seem like it's part of this. It seems far too mountainous. You'd think it would be in Maine or Vermont or something like that. It's just this incredible stretch. It's super hilly. Let's go do that next. And I think we're about 20 kilometers away from that. So
let's get to it.
And then after that, Bancroft. Alrighty, let's get going, man. We got miles to cover.
Drone footage doesn't really show you how hilly Highway 28 west of Denby really is, but that long lineup of cars behind a transport truck inching up the hill in low gear does. On this road, if you're stuck behind a transport, pull over, stretch your legs, relax, give it time, and then carry on when the road's clear. Onward to Bancroft we go, and then it's back to where we started this trip in Halliburton. We're nearly finished.
We're back in Halliburton 3 days later. We had an amazing trip, and if Jake looks kind of stunned, it's because we're tired, but we're happy tired, which is totally different. So Jake, do you have a favorite road or a favorite moment that you spent with me on that trip that you can share?
Not one.
Not one.
No, probably Centennial Lake Road. That one was by far probably my favorite road. Just with the elevation changes, how secluded you were, everything was just insane.
Centennial Lake Road is kind of the perfect road because right when you think you know what it is, it changes.
Yeah.
And I love roads like that have a completely different complexion. What's so great about this area though is how much it changes. And you wouldn't think so, because we think we know Ontario. Every Ontarian knows, well, I think I know what this is. But just the way the complexion changed, and some of the wild spots, you know, 28 west of Denby towards Bancroft.
Yeah, that one was fun too, coming up through the small town. And
that's a favorite of mine. So. But there's just so many great roads, and the trip was really amazing, and we had really great weather. I would really encourage you to do this trip yourself. I mean, so often, you know, something like this, we've condensed 3 days of riding into roughly 20 minutes. So there's all sorts of stuff we left out. We just tried to touch on a few highlights, but everywhere you look, there's amazing stuff to see. The thing you shouldn't do is take our word for anything. You really should do it yourself. So ridethehighlands.ca is where to go to get all these routes, and there's more places to go and suggestions and restaurants and fuel stops, so you don't have to feel like you're winging it. If you're a micromanaging type and you want to know every single detail, you can get all the information, but I would encourage you to just go and wing it. It's really wonderful, and you can't really go wrong. I hope you enjoyed this episode of El Camino. Come back again.
Clothing was provided by Importations Tebow, service you can trust. El Camino was brought to you by the Motorcycle Super Show, the big one by the airport. Dainese, 75 years of performance. Hudson Henderson, your insurance provider for motorcycle, power sports, and marine.